This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO is back on the air. Another week of talking NHRA drag racing and motorsports. We got a huge week for you. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Joe, it's Monday. We're not ready for WFO, at least until Ignition later on this evening. And the answer is, oh, no. Oh, no. You got to get ready because we have got first-time Top Fuel winner Tripp Tatum going to be on the show. If you're a fan of Tripp or you're looking for a favorite driver to follow through his career in Top Fuel, this is the guy. Share the show. Be ready. We're going to speak with Tripp just seconds from now. But first, I want to tell you about the people who support WFO Radio and make it possible for me to do this show. You just saw our newest marketing partner, and we're talking about VP Racing Fuels. Welcome to VP Racing Fuels. They've got fuels, obviously, oils and additives and small engine and even car care products. We're going to be telling you about them throughout the next few weeks on WFO. So many drivers use VP out there in the pits, and we are happy to have them on the program. So go to vpracingfuels.com, sign up for their newsletter, and let them know you heard about it on WFO Radio. Welcome, VP Racing Fuels. And thank you to our current sponsors like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, Matt Hartford, Keith Jones, Lake Speed. Here's the deal. If you are building an engine or you're an engine builder, you need to give them a call and tell them what you're up to. They can help you unlock the hidden horsepower inside your engine, whether it be their gas-ported rings for stock eliminator racers who are not allowed to do anything to their pistons. Check them out. Or even all the way up to the nitro ranks, Total Seal has got new technology that they are working with certain, I won't tell you exactly all about that. Go to totalseal.com to find out more information. And if you're into the whole big money bracket scene, if you're into that scene, FTIperformance.com. These guys have already scored a bunch of victories, including at the Gatornationals. We are working on connecting you, the listeners, with some of the FTI winning drivers to let you know exactly how to get it done. But here's the deal. If you're a bracket racer and you're not using FTI, torque converters, or transmissions, the next time that subject comes up, give them a call. Go to the website and tell them what you got, and they can put you in the direction of winning more races. FTIperformance.com. Thanks to them. And then, of course, samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. We always say start your education at full speed. The next generation of engine builders, machinists, CNC programmers, aerospace engineers, many coming through samtech.edu. There's Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. We appreciate Frank and Lana Hawley doing their Dragster Adventure program. Maybe you get bitten by the bug like the rest of us have, and you want to drive a dragster. Well, courses start at just $399. Call frankhawley.com. There's Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. He was the A sponsor of Funny Car Chaos, the top league in Funny Car Chaos. He was out there, Marvin, gave me some insight into the weekend. I'll tell you about that later. But if you want some coffee, 817-924-6821. Call Rodak. He's a drag racer. He loves coffee. He loves grilling. He's in Fort Worth, Texas, for gosh sakes. Give him a call. Appreciate Marvin Rodak. And everybody that supports WFO Radio behind the scenes, including our Patreons, we'll tell you about them a little bit later. Boy, we're really increasing the sponsorship here on WFO, and we're not done yet. Stick with us. But now it is time to connect with a first-time winner, a WFO Winnerview, following the 2022 Amalie Oil NHRA Gatornationals Top Fuel winner, Tripp Tatum. What's up, Tripp? How's that sound?
It sounds good.
Sounds
happy to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you on the show for multiple reasons, right? There's been a lot of people inside the sport of drag racing know you well. From your dad racing, the A-Fuel days, working your way up to Top Fuel, but really working your tail off probably for no compensation out there, right? Like you have helped out whoever needed help over the past 4 or 5 years. You're at the track. You're just increasing your knowledge base. Was this the plan the whole time, Tripp, as you're out there like absorbing all this information? Was this the dream the whole time?
Yeah, yes, definitely. I mean, I'm pretty good friends with Tommy Johnson Jr. and I was spent almost 2.5 years going almost every race with him, with JC and Rip Reynolds, and so that was an awesome learning experience for me. And a bunch of really good guys.
let's dig into that. You know, TJ, obviously you've said that was texting you the whole time, right? Giving you like how to handle the pressure texts. That's got to be a great benefit. You've got people around you, but have someone that you really trust on the other end of the text machine, helping you out. It must have worked.
Yeah, TJ, he isn't easy on me.
No,
when I don't do the right thing, he'll let me know. But I got a lot of base from my father when I was very young. But as far as growing up learning, especially on the fuel car side, pretty much it's all been from him. I started early with the drag racing school with Frank Hawley's deal earlier on, which we can touch on, but. Yeah, TJ he's been besides a really good friend, he's just been an unbelievable mentor and what to do, how to do it, especially how to handle things under pressure. Because this whole deal for me was just and still is a ton of pressure. So it's been a journey so far, that's for sure.
Well, you've already lived up to any pressure you might engage. You've got to win, right? You got that Wally. The goal one was probably to get on track. You accomplished that. Goal 2, top fuel, qualify. Goal 3, win a race, something like that. And you've done really well. We just want to see you more out there. Like, we want to see this become a more common thing. And I think ultimately that's your plan. Why don't you tell us? I want to talk about your dad. I want to talk about how you got to where you are, but let's get to that, right? We haven't seen the last of Tripp Tatum by any means.
No, we're one thing that Dom Lagana have preached and instilled in me is, stay within your means, stay on the plan. And, this car has definitely exceeded every possible thing I could have ever even dreamed of, and it's run so good so quickly that it just, to be frank, it spoiled me. It's so with that being said, yeah, I want to go race right now, but we are going to take our time, keep this car at the level that it has performed, and the work that it goes into all this is a lot. Behind the scenes, people don't realize how much the people around you make the difference, and all the work that they do and how they do it. And because it takes a ton of people to make this work properly. So for me, next race is probably going to be Norwalk. We're working on servicing everything, fixing a few things, getting more parts. Went in Gainesville, definitely helped in the parts department a little bit. So that we will be, getting some better things, some better parts that, that I think are needed. And then, I'm a 100% self-funded car. So I just got to live within my means and just, kind of pick and choose where I think we all feel, because this is definitely a whole team effort. What's the next best place to go? So.
Interesting. Well, people are weighing in out there on social, and everybody, thank you so much for the support of the show. And obviously, Tripp, Brian is out there. He said the car was set on kill, and it certainly was. I want to ask you about, you kept saying, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. But I would rather start at the beginning. This is your first time on the show. You sent me a couple of photos of your dad, this one next to TV Tommy's car. You were able to buy this car back. So tell me about your dad and growing up drag racing in what many people consider the golden era of the sport, when, a couple of guys who worked hard together and formed a team could have a top fuel dragster, and what it was like growing up in that environment. And, tell me some stories about your dad.
Well, my dad, most of his base was in road racing, specifically Ferraris. The picture that you see there is, I'm kind of judging just by how young I am in that picture, but this is somewhere in early 1970. And on the right, that's my dad. Then that's my mom holding me. And then I was told that's Tarzan, who is Tommy Ivo's crew chief at the time.
Okay. Hall of Famer, just inducted into the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame a year ago, and I believe he recently passed away.
Yeah, those cars at that time were both brand new. Neither one of them had run, as far as I know. But yeah, I grew up around a lot of pretty neat stuff. Mostly road racing stuff. But my dad did have 2 front engine cars, and also had a brand new Butera rear engine car that was never finished. So yeah, there was lots of very influential things in my life. When I was probably 4 or 5 years old, the first time Gary Bergen used to come when he would, match race, he would stay at my dad's shop and we lived in Maryland. So that was a huge influence on me, because I actually got to see this car run and would go to races that, I guess the first one I ever went to, I think, was Capitol Raceway, and there in Maryland. Actually, one where I was very young was at Aquasco. And I mean, just places that don't exist anymore. Well, Capitol certainly does.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I think in the first national event I ever went to was Indy in, I believe, 81 or 82, or for whatever the first year of the Big Bud Shootout was.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I got to watch all that, and Gary was in the Big Bud Shootout, and went to the final that year too. So just neat stuff.
The Orange Baron, Gary Bergen's one of my favorite cars, because it had a name on it, by the way, and people love names.
Oh, yeah.
You were at Funny Car Chaos this past weekend. After we get to know Tripp Tatum, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your experience out there. Speaking of funny cars with names, I think they all have names out there. Maybe something we should emulate in the NHRA. Does your car have a name, Tripp, yet?
No, it's just been such a whirlwind. No name.
Yet.
I mean, it's been good to me though. So if I ever come up with a name, it would have to be something that's sweet. That's for sure.
Okay. See, now you've already driven cars with names though, right? Like, this is one that I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. And credit to Bob Zelag for taking these pictures, and Dominic, obviously, for like, hey, where can I get some pictures of Tripp driving the Ninja? Those guys get it, right? Tell me about this experience where Bobby and Dom, this is their family car, and you know how it is, right? They don't just put anybody in there, but they put you in there. What did that mean? Like, connect the two dots from what happened at the Gatornationals to that, because they have to be connected.
Yeah, I drove Anthony DeCero's A Fuel car for a couple years, and like everything else, the dream was always to drive a Top Fuel car. So it was something that was discussed a little bit here and there, and I'd spent enough time, and I kind of inquired a little bit, and I think they saw that I did a decent job driving, and which I didn't understand at the time is that they don't let too many people drive their car. As far as it's been myself, Ashley Sanford, and
Clay.
And I think Clay recently at the match race, and then Noah before me. It's kind of a short list, and it was an honor, and invaluable learning experience, man. I mean, and not just driving the race car, probably more about life. That those guys are, they've done a lot for me.
That's awesome. And you know what? Hey, listen, I'm going to say this. It's okay to be emotional on WFO because why are we doing this, right? Like, why are we doing this if we can't celebrate great moments like all of this, especially the relationships? But let's talk about the actual race, right? Okay, weird Gatornationals because it almost didn't happen. The weather was just the worst ever. Yeah. People are getting stuck. I don't think people will remember this years from now, but it was the mud nationals. You couldn't get in, you couldn't get out. One qualifying session, and you guys, you ripped it. You're the number one qualifier, setting up a round one matchup against Lex June. We interviewed on the stage, and you said to me, it was, I love it. Please don't become the type of person that hides your emotions, because I love you dealing with I don't want to mess this up. I know I can win. I got a car that can win. Everybody around me can win. You got Donnie Bender over there. You got everybody over there. You got this, the replacements of Nitro guys, right? Like they're coming out of retirement to help you. And you know that you're the weak link kind of because of experience. And you put it out there, and in the end, you dealt with it. But take me through those moments where you are realizing that, man, I got a car that can win the Gator Nationals.
Well, I try not to think about any of that too much, because that'll get you nutted up. So, I mean, it's just round by round, it's like, there is no easy round, because to me, it's like, yeah, we should have definitely gone out there in first round and won if you just look at the performance. But sometimes not messing up, that's the biggest thing. It's like we still had to go A to B. If we made a mistake, Lex could have very easily driven right around us, and there are just no easy customers out there anymore. No easy cars. So yeah, first round, I mean, and the atmospheric conditions, the track, the temperature, everything was just no data on that, and just was super tough. I mean, they were preaching to me for first round of qualifying. Yeah, we're just going to try to go A to B. I didn't even really think. I in my mind, we were just going to have 2 laps, go A to B, go down there, try to maybe run a middle to high 70, and just that way we know we're in. And but as I learned, sometimes when you slow things down, they can go faster. So that's kind of what we kind of learned a little bit. Maybe we were just a little too aggressive in a few areas on the tune-up, and backing it up a little bit showed us something. And boy, the car run really good. Yeah, we ran a 67 with a 4, I believe, and then in first round it went a 67 with a 7.
Yep.
So yeah, and
329, 3.
Oh yeah, it was a bracket car. I mean, Stu and Short Hall. I mean, man, those guys are good. The knowledge base there. Think about that. The years those guys have been doing that.
Well, Tony Shortall, for instance, perfect example. He's out there, he's walking around, he's got his hair. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, your hair is so great. But he's got a lifetime of experience. And this isn't even like his primary thing. He's doing chemicals and stuff on the other side. John Stewart, another guy who just amazing how much knowledge he has over the years. And you got to put that to the test in the second round, where you go up against Billy Torrence. And let's talk a little bit about the Torrence family and what they do, both for themselves as, 4-time champions and Billy. But we make a big deal over all the things that they do because nobody knows what they do. And here you got to race them. But I don't know if you've got bigger supporters than the Torrence family, right? Because they empower. They can tell Bobby and Dom not to help anybody if they wanted.
Yeah, but that's not the way they work. First off, none of any of this, wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the blessings of the Torrence family. Mama Kay, Billy, Steve, Natalie, they're just great people. And it's just unbelievable the way they think, how they work, how they handle it. It's unbelievable. Yeah. At times it's kind of a loss for words for me, because it can become overwhelming. It's so much has happened in such a short period of time for me, and it's a lot.
Yeah, but they recognize it though. Courtney Enders out there calling you the man. So proud of you and the team. Tripp Tatum, says Courtney. Courtney was in the state of Florida this past weekend. What's up, Courtney? Courtney is going to be back on the air for a happy hour show at some point. Okay, semifinal matchup now. Going up against Mike Salinas, who has been doing real well, ripping it. Has been down 6 consecutive runs, had won the previous event. So talk about preparing for that run, right? Preparing for a run against, back-to-back hitters and Billy, but now Salinas.
Well, I know a lot of those guys over on that team, and yeah, they're stout. They're strong. I mean, that's that car is, one of the best out there. So like I said earlier, there's none of these guys are easy. And, I just honestly, I don't think about who's in the other lane because that will definitely just probably overwhelm me. I just go up there and just try to race that racetrack and do the best job I can at the time, and just try to get on down. And it worked out for us.
Well, you got to go A to B, keep it in the groove. Simple as that, except it's very, very difficult. And you're going to have to help me out on this one, because were you first down, or was Doug first down in the semifinals? Because the Doug Foley Tripp Tatum final round matchup was not something that most people had figured out going into race day.
Hey, well, first of all, Brooks is, runs that deal. Their shop is about 50 yards, 75 yards just behind mine here in Brownsburg. And and Brooks has helped with a ton on my car. I mean, he's helped put a lot of things together. We're actually a pretty big family over here. We always help each other out. And, you need parts. It doesn't matter whether I might have to race you. He'd do anything for us too. So, but man, I mean, to be honest, I don't remember who was first. If we were first or second, I mean, there's a lot of it that is just, it goes in one ear and out the other. So I just remember figuring out that we were in the final, and it's like, I don't know, Brooks and I, we all do a lot of kidding around, but I just know that car was very capable. I mean, Doug's a great guy. And then what happened in the final just shows you that you have to be prepared for anything. And, I had a son that was on the tree in the final. I kind of noticed it was bad, but you couldn't see how bad until the angle sitting in the driver's compartment. I could barely see the pre-stage, and I did my normal deal, shallow staging, but I blinked the stage light, but I didn't know whether it was on or off. And the next thing I know, the tree was down. And then, I had a horrible light. I think it was 192.
Yep.
And I think Doug
he was 126 though. Yeah, so really it's 700ths one way or the other.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank God the car ran as good as it did, because if not, that would have been a tough one to swallow. But, it, like I've said for a while, like first round in Arizona, we had a small issue and the parachute came out. It just wasn't meant to be. But that day was my day. It was our team's day, and it was meant to be.
Yeah. So, well, you did. You were able to drive around Doug, but great job by Doug Foley, who's in a very similar situation as you, right? So it was like a nice, if this is going to be what it is, where independent teams can compete as long as they stay within their means and don't overextend themselves, that's a good thing. That's a good sport to have. We just need you for, whatever you're planning on doing. We need you to get a sponsor and do double, right? Whatever you can do. But that was, I didn't run into somebody who thought that was a bad final round matchup.
No, I mean, it's great. I mean, it shows you that, although there is not as many big teams out there now, that people that work hard and, it can be done. If, and in my particular case, I'm surrounded by an unbelievable group of guys, and, our service on race day, it was great. Not one problem. We got quicker and quicker, and it's just people being together, getting used to each other. And, they did good, really good. That makes a huge difference. Takes the stress out of everything. And, it's for me as a driver, I can't sit and do anything. I do the fuel, do the chutes, do a few other small things, but I just got to stay busy. If I sit there and start thinking about things that, it's tough on you.
Right. Well, but at some point you go through the traps and the wind light comes on and you see it or you don't, but then they signal you to where you got to go. And the reality of, we just won this darn thing. We just won this thing.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that, because I got some shots that you sent me. I don't know if Bobby Lagana, I don't want to say he's used to winning over there with the Capco guys, but he gets happy. This was next level happy for these guys. They were going nuts. There's Gary, who I know you saw this past weekend, and Bobby, and everyone was so super happy for you. Just try to, I know why, but why? Like what was so intense that drove these guys to that level of emotion?
This is an easy one and a tough one, I guess. I mean, well, their passion first and foremost. I mean, they wear their emotions on the sleeve, and I mean everywhere. So, but to be honest with you, this whole this whole deal is pretty much Bobby's little brainchild there, and it's. I think he takes a lot of pride in steering people in the right direction, showing them how to be better, and with the race car, but in life too. So and trust me when I tell you this, but I've learned a few valuable lessons from from Bob and Dom. So and the whole group, those guys over there, just when you think you're safe, you're not. They'll remind you really quickly that to just always be humble, and do right by people.
Yeah. Well, that's their ninja rules, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
they put them out there for a reason. Those ninja rules are real.
Oh yeah.
They're real. No, it's great to see. It's great to see. It was great to see. And I'm excited for you, but you don't want to be a part-time team that occasionally runs, right? Like you would love a sponsor, a corporation, a marketing partner that could get you out there to more. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like that, you're already on the board with a win, but I know like with Krista's car, like finding the people who can go on the road, who can run X amount of rate, like that's not easy. You don't just flip a switch. It's a very challenging situation.
No.
So speak on that and what you're ultimately trying to accomplish. Like if a sponsor approached you and said, man, I love how humble you are and I love what you got going, how many could you do?
It would take a little bit of time. Well, and I mean, honestly, though, in these days and age with the whole pandemic and things, the parts are harder to find. I think that the team that wins this year might not just only run the best, they might be the best prepared, seeing into the future. So part of that is having enough parts and pieces to compete the full schedule and properly. So for us, I mean, I do have a lot of stuff. I mean, I could probably run almost all the races, but you got to have the right people around you. My crew is all full timers that have normal regular jobs now, and I couldn't see doing it without these guys. So I'd have to do some work on things to get them to try somehow, some way to get them to run a full
arm twisting.
Schedule.
The arm twisting, right? Yeah. No, they'll do it. They would do it if they felt like they have a chance to win. That's really what it's about. No one wants to go out there and lose. They got to know they got a chance to win, and it looks like they might.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as I've said earlier, this isn't cheap. It does take a lot of money to do. So yeah, working on some help would definitely make a big difference. Full-time, I mean, that a full-time deal, that's a $2.5-3 million deal. So, and that's full-time or a primary sponsor of that size is pretty hard to come by these days. So I don't necessarily know. Maybe the best thing is smaller associate sponsors, equal up. There's a lot of different paths, I guess, to achieve that. I mean, you got to look at Clay and how they do it. Like Jim Dunn, different sponsor on that car every race, seems like. So we're definitely looking and discussing and feeling some stuff out, and winning a race definitely is. There's been some inquiries in a few areas, so that is encouraging. But like anything else, until it's there and in front of you and you can actually do something with it, it is what it is. So yes, but the goal is to run more races. The goal definitely is to go out there more.
That's great. No, super excited for you. I know you're not going to be there this weekend, but that's fine because you'll still be undefeated all the way till Norwalk, which is cool. Tripp, is there anything that we didn't cover here that you want people to know about you and your team and your journey to get to this point? So many people like, who's Tripp Tatum was the question that I got from my casual observer friends, right? They're like, who's Tripp Tatum? I never heard of this guy. It's like, man, the guy's been out there a long time, family drag race, been chasing this dream since the 1980s. But what else is there that we didn't quite get to that you want people to know about you?
I mean, that's probably, I don't know. That's a hard question for me. I'm just one of those guys that I guess one of my biggest goal is I wanted people to say, where did this come from? Don't talk about it. Just do it. Work hard. Go out there and let that car do the talking for you. And that's definitely me. I'm not a talker. For me, I just take care of your do business the right way, and things will hopefully work better for you in the future. And it's just, we just try to have fun, and we definitely try to go fast too. So
there you go. Derek wants to know if you've ever gone trip zip in a top fuel car. I don't think you really want to go trip zip. That was a mistake. If you did, I mean, you'll take it.
Yeah, that if you did that, you're guessing, or you're in pretty deep. So yeah, it's been instilled in me from the very beginning, especially from Dom Lagana. Just go up there and be as shallow as can be, and like I've struggled so far a little bit this year. My lights haven't been the way I want them to be, and I've realized that with age and everything else, things don't always work the way you want them to be. But so I've got work to do. Cars got maybe a little work to do, and but yeah, no, just
so on top of all that, you went out to Funny Car Chaos this past weekend at the Motorplex, hanging out. Dexter Tuttle had his Nitro Bandit out there, and there were 60 other funny cars. It was kind of cool. What did you do? They put you to work. You weren't hanging out. You were working.
Yeah. I did mix the fuel for the car. And then was Gary Pritchett's clutch assistant, which was a learning experience for that. That's for sure. Yeah, that Funny Car Chaos deal is wild. I mean, there's over 60 funny cars of all different eras, different configurations, alcohol cars, nostalgia, nitro cars, varying degrees, a fuel car. For me, then they have some of the ultra cars, that are supercharged nitro, a fuel combinations. And I mean, it's just, if you love funny cars, man, it's a pretty neat deal.
Awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. In that, and this gentleman, Brian, says that Lyle Greenberg won the Rodax Coffee and Grills.com A field winner circle, which was great. You guys were supposed to run him though, right? In the final, isn't that the way it was supposed to go? And you couldn't answer the call with Dexter's car.
Yeah. We ran into some issues, motor problems, and boy, we didn't quit though. We didn't. We had probably damn near 2.5 motor changes, and yeah, it was. Yeah, that was not an easy one to take. But the guys they gave it their all, and we just flat ran out of time.
Yeah. Well, it was a good event from what I hear, and obviously there was a fire with Ken Singleton, who people can look up at that. From what I understand, was a terrible situation. To keep it in perspective, but this interview is really just about the introduction of Tripp Tatum to the mainstream fan base of the NHRA. And I know you're going to have a lot of new fans, and you do social media, right? Like I know you got a Facebook page that shows up on it right now, and others. You got, you're going to try to keep people up on what's going on behind the scenes with the team.
Yep. I've got a bunch of good people working for me on social media. And it's a lot of this is all new for me, and so it's just figuring out, learning. Time has to happen, and just hopefully move in a bigger, better direction.
Exactly. Well, I think you are. I think you're showing what hard work and surrounding yourself with good people, or being one of those good people who surrounds other people, can do, right? Working this team, this group, this family that you're talking about with, the Torrences and Gary Pritchett and Bobby and Dom and Aaron Brooks and like all that interconnected circles that people don't really see behind the scenes. Like the walls between the teams in many ways have come down for some of the teams, right? Like they're just a bunch of drag racers trying to help each other in this old school way that everybody wishes it would go back to, except it's already back to that. And maybe they just don't know. I think it's great, Tripp. Thank you for coming on WFO. Your first time, but hopefully not your last.
Definitely. I hope to be back to see you sometime soon, Joe. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, this was awesome, Tripp. Thank you so much. We'll see you. I know we're going to see you before Norwalk. We'll see you with the car in Norwalk. And thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Congratulations. Great win.
Thank you.
All right. Tripp Tatum with us here on WFO Radio. How great was Tripp? That's what it's about, guys. That's what it's about. Like, just a hardworking, humble dude who doesn't say a whole lot and lets the car do the talking for him, except when you ask him some good questions, he'll have real, genuine answers. And the whole Tommy Johnson, Tommy, you're tough on the guy, huh? You're tough on the guy. That's good. It clearly has worked. And, Dominic and Bobby and Gary and all those guys behind the scenes. And I can tell you, I'll relay a little bit of an anecdote. He comes into the media center after it's all over, and he's on the phone taking a congratulations phone call from the Torrences who are on their way back home. And it was on speaker. And to just hear the genuine happiness for this guy coming from them, and the genuine appreciation and just the mutual respect, like, I would have loved for everybody to have heard it, because it would change your opinion about everything that you're going to see. You're not going to see these sports teams like fight against each other. It's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing. There's this whole layer of working together behind the scenes that is so much better than any of that. It was great. It was great. And I'm happy to have Tripp on the show. Tomorrow, Alan Reinhardt will be on. We'll talk to him a little bit about it, 1:00. And then Wednesday at 12 noon, we'll have Matt Hagan, who won the first race for Tony Stewart Racing. And we'll go to week. And then we're going 4-wide drag racing out there in Vegas. We're going I'm going to kick you out, Tripp, just so you know. Like, the show's going to be over for Tripp here in a second, because I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Final comments in the comment section for everybody out there. And then we're going to move on. But thanks to Tripp Tatum for coming on the show. It was amazing. All right, your final thoughts, your final comments. Anybody see anything interesting on television last night? Well, you know what? On our Monday Motivation for Patreons, I did reference the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock debacle. And I just, tying it into our sport. Yeah, Monday Motivation, the Patreons get a special show, right? Just laying everything out. I talked about the University of Miami Hurricanes getting down to the Elite Eight. That was great. And all the great racing and Formula One and NASCAR and everything that happened this past weekend. But the big, smack at the Oscars, everybody wants some sort of confrontation until it happens, and then they hate it. And this is a lesson that I think we all need to learn, myself included. We want drama in drag racing. We want friction in drag racing. We want guys telling each other they want to whip each other's butts in drag racing. And that's what people really want. And then when it happens, everyone recoils because they really don't want that. And that's the right thing, to not want that. I don't want to see two people that I like in a physical confrontation. I don't want to see two people that I like in a vicious argument. I don't want to see two people that I like in conflict. That's what racing is for. You go out there, and I know the hugs at the top end of the racetrack are definitely not a good thing, because you want it to be competition. And there should be a little bit of a cooling off after being defeated or defeating someone. As someone who has competed, I never liked it when someone came over to me like a second after they beat me badly and were like, hey, good job. Little PTSD to some of those moments. But the other end of the spectrum is what we saw last night at the Oscars. And if you haven't seen it, guys, you live under a rock. It was bad. It was a bad moment. And we should all learn from it. People say they want stuff, but they don't really want it. Like, I didn't want that. That was not good. Just to tie it all together to our sport. When you hear Tripp talk about respect and admiration and learning and humility and being humble, and like, oh, who is that for, right? Who is that for? Well, that's for winners. It's for people who do well. It's for people who, understand what it's all about. A little trash talk, I'm all for that. For a little fun, CV Fast style trash talk, I'm for that. But that comes in time with comfort. I don't know. I really enjoyed seeing Doug Foley and Tripp Tatum battle it out in the final round to determine who would be a first-time winner. And, I think the world of Aaron Brooks, too. And to see him, continuously make comebacks and can be with Doug for a while. I think that's great situation. Big thanks to the people who support the show, VP Racing Fuels. Go to their website. They've got a newsletter you can sign up to, whether it be racing fuel, of course, additives, lubrication products, even car care products. They've got it all. And we'll be telling you a little bit more about VP Racing Fuels over the next few weeks. And very happy and excited to have them part of the WFO universe. Welcome, VP Racing Fuels. And of course, FTI Performance Transmissions, FTIperformance.com, whether it be Top Dragster, Pro Modified, .90, Weekend Bracket Racing, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters can show you to the winner's circle. U.S. Nationals winners, $1 Million race winners, many of them are using FTI Performance for over 10 years. Greg Samuel comes up with this company and goes right to the front, which is pretty amazing. Go to FTIperformance.com. And of course, Paul Lee, the leader over there with McLeod Clutches and FTIperformance.com. Thank you for supporting WFO Radio. And again, you might not need these people right now, or maybe you do, but when you do, think about how they support WFO, like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Total Seal, Hartford and team will be back in action running 4-wide this weekend. It's going to be very exciting. I am a proponent of the 4-wide drag racing, as we do it twice a year at the beginning of the year. It is good stuff. But if you're building an engine, if you're having an engine built, if you're an engine builder, you definitely want to connect with the folks at Total Seal. What I have learned through the Hidden Horsepower podcast, which you should all subscribe to because it is great, is that there are a lot of people, myself included, that find something that works and stick with it. Maybe too long. And so your local engine builder, does he know that thinner rings work better, last longer, and provide more power? Or is he still doing the same thing that he did 8 years ago, 10 years ago? Because it works, but not as well, because technology has advanced. And that's what Total Seal is all about. Go to totalseal.com. Samtech.edu, very similar situation with the next generation of engine builders, CNC machinists. Go to samtech.edu, get on the horn with Brian Massengill. Tell him you heard it on WFO and get your education started. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. We heard that Tripp went to Frank's. Exactly. And you, for $399, can go and spend an afternoon at the Dragster Adventure, learning the same principles. It's a tremendous value, and you get to drive dragsters showing up with nothing but the shirt on your back. And they supply everything. It's a deal at twice the price, frankhawley.com. And then there's Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. Marvin was out there at Funny Car Chaos. He's one of the big sponsors out there, big wig, chest all puffed up. Sends me a picture of him and Eddie Hill. Eddie Hill, who's just hanging out at Funny Car Chaos, just hanging out. I was like, get Eddie on the show, Marvin. Get him on the show. And, next time. But Marvin Rodak, 812, you want to hear about 817-924-6821. Call Marvin, order some coffee. They've got all kinds of custom blends. Check it out, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. And then, yes, the Patreons, right? These people have a monthly membership. They spend what they can. And sometimes they adjust it up and sometimes they adjust it down, but they're getting the behind the scenes. And it's very, it's very minimal in that you get some stickers and get some swag and you get to be part of the WFO universe. Patreon.com/WFO. But what you're doing is helping out our show. You're helping to keep this show rolling. And when you are a Patreon and you go to the late rounds and you win a little money and send me a picture and you got the WFO sticker on your car like Brittany, you make it on the show. That's what happens. Way to go, Britt. Wearing her WFO hat and her WFO sticker, the only sticker on her car, Cutlass. And what she make the semifinal round, I believe. Way to go, Britt. Keep it going. And that is what's up on WFO. Did I use all the photographs? Just want to make sure everybody saw Tripp's dad's car and this one in particular. He bought his dad's car back and he now still has it. Amazing. All right, let's see what your final comments are in the comment section. Brittany's out there watching right now. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for taking the picture. I like Brenwald's Rodak slogan. I don't know it yet. I'm out of the loop. I thought Brenwald was driving back from Kansas. Great show. Joe says, Scott, Joey Rocket. Great show again, brother. Keep it going. Love you. Thank you, Joey Rocket. Thank you. Underdogs always play into the crowd. well, as Americans, we are underdogs. Even still, we have that underdog attitude. That's why everybody likes the Ukrainians, underdog, right? And for this team to go out, both of those teams go out and make the final round, that was awesome. Everybody loved it. John Force wasn't as beloved because of the passion, not as a knockout artist. Isn't that the truth? No, don't get me wrong. In the fight game, a knockout artist thing is good. Oh, here it is. Brenwald. Rodax coffee wakes you up quicker than a slap in the face. Yeah, so bad. Now, Jeff, you're wrong. Fake slap. Wrong. Sorry. I know a lot of people speculated that it's not. That was as real gets. So ready for Vegas. Don't know quit. You going to be there, Jeff? Awesome. Great show as always. No family like racing families. Thanks, Tripp. Thanks, Joe. Gotta love a down-to-earth interview. Great interview with Tripp. Thank you very much, Monica. I appreciate it. No, it was great. It was great. You got cool show, Joe says. Carl. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate you. Yeah, they ran real well out there at Chaos. What other news? Things that are in the news. Phillips, full season. Justin Ashley. They announced that right off. We got off the air last week. I was out on spring break. We did interview Karen Stouffer, but that news came out after the interview had occurred. Great news. I feel, sort of connected to it, right? Mr. Epler, he said, and it happened. I feel great that what he said on WFO actually happened. That to me means the world, right? Mike Salinas got Pep Boys for select races this year. That's good for Mike, seeing what those guys are able to do. I also saw that, Jasmine Salinas wins. And in the NHRA Lucas Oil Series show, they used the interview that Nikki and myself did on the top end of the racetrack. That was kind of cool to see that. I was unaware of that, right? You're watching the show just for the show, and then there you are. Kind of surprising, but not really. And then there's the whole Wild Horse Pass thing, which I have decided we're going to kick that off a little bit until tomorrow. The Wild Horse Pass 2023 will be the final race. I'm going to talk about it with Alan because he's usually good with perspective on such things. I can tell you that here in South Florida, West Palm Beach, Moroso Motorsports Park, PBIR, however you want to call it, is a very significant track and facility. Like, I got to say, it's very nice. The track surface is as nice as anyone. It could be potentially a national event track. They would have to expand it into some areas, which makes it difficult. They'd have to spend some money. It looks like it's going away, like 98% going away. There's one final meeting that'll be coming up here in a few weeks and the rumors are going around. Who knows somebody whose former roommate knows someone who used to deliver pizza to one of the city commissioners and says that they're not going to allow for the rezoning of the land use and all that. I don't know. But I know this, that to have drag racing, you must have drag strips. It's not difficult math. No Atlanta, no Arizona, no Houston. Joliet might come back, obviously. We're hoping that it comes back, and that's hinging upon everybody showing up at the divisional race here in a few weeks. But to have professional drag racing, you must have professional drag racing facilities. And so what does that mean? I think that what's happening is got to do with expansion and property values and just the normal growth of life. These tracks used to be far out in the middle of nowhere. And as the population has increased and business has increased and everything has increased, which is something we want. We certainly don't want things to get smaller. They are right in the middle of these cities, and we're going to have to build some new tracks, folks. That's what it is. Someone's going to have to build some new tracks. We're going to have to build new tracks. And who's going to do that? Like, that's the challenge. There's a lot of people with a lot of money in this sport, around this sport, that can get loans, that know construction, that can buy the land. It's the time where people who are those people need to put on they need to channel their inner Billy Meyer. And they need to do something and make it happen. Buy a tract of land that's in the middle of nowhere, out and further in Arizona. They got plenty of it. And invest in making another facility. And that's what's going to happen. Because you can't just lose all your tracks. On the same time, there is a commentary by Susan Wade up on Competition Plus, and I have such great relationships with everybody that I encounter and have been helpful. Bobby and Susan, and we're great friends. But I totally disagree with her commentary that now is the time to cut the schedule to 15 races. And to me, it's tone deaf, it's wrong, it's inaccurate. It's the wrong way to go. But that's the thing about opinions, right? Everybody can have an opinion, and they might be wrong, or they might not be wrong. They might be right now, but in a year they might be wrong. Like, you just don't know. But I don't know a lot of people that, yes, it would be cheaper to run the cars, but if you're only running 15 races, that's not a full-time thing anymore. That's a part-time thing. And then the other things that you fill the year with might take precedent. Just like we were talking about with Tripp a minute ago, right? 15 weeks, man, those aren't full-time guys anymore. Those are part-time guys. It's a part-time sport. Is it a professional sport if you do it 15 weeks, or is it a hobby? I don't know. Cutting a couple of $100,000 or a couple $1 million of value right out of the sport. I just think it's a bad idea that should be buried. You look everywhere else. I've been watching this Drive to Survive Formula One show. Watch the first couple episodes. What are they doing? They're experiencing mega growth. The number 2 sport in the world behind soccer, Formula One. What are they doing? Are they cutting back? No, they're expanding. There's people now with money, more money. I know everyone's complaining. There's more money out there. People want to spend money right now. You could give them less to spend money on. I don't know. I just think it's incorrect for the moment. I think you got to keep trying to grow, and you got to do more to grow. And if that means create an organization that builds tracks, if that means partnering with stakeholders to build another entity that builds drag strips to a certain spec so that we may have drag racing in the future, you got to do it. You can't let an outside influence like real estate, property values in major metropolitan areas destroy you, in my opinion. All right, let's see what other people say. I was just vamping right there, guys. That was it. Steve's going to be at the race in Vegas, guys. All right, Steve, I'll see you there, bud. I'll be there. It sucks here in Los Angeles today. It's cold and rainy. Oh, well, it's beautiful in sunny South Florida. Underdog, door cars, and super comp. Oh, you're going to be racing, Jeff? Good deal. Brenwald is back. Tell Mike Salinas to buy the track. I know he's been looking to buy some drag strips. Well, I don't know what Mike Salinas is looking or not looking to do, but I just laid a roadmap out. Not that I need to tell anybody, but we've got some people who have been very successful in the real estate game. Why not create an organization? Why not work together to buy some land, like build 3 tracks at the same time instead of 1? Figure out which markets will do the best. I would love to have you build one here in South Florida, but I don't think anybody could afford the land, honestly. But I know you could go to Homestead Miami Speedway and partner with them. I think you could. Any new word on where Jim Oberhofer is going to go? Yeah, you'll just have to wait on that. I like to allow the teams to make their releases on their own schedule. This is not for me. You can go to other places to find people to, spoiler alert, you'll get some news. With an investor, I think my idea on solar panels and placement could make it so traps are an asset to the community rather than a disturbance. Yeah, not enough of one, though. There's a lot of land out there. I mean, I'm not against your idea, but I don't know if I want to be racing underneath solar panels, man. And I love solar. That's my favorite thing for energy. But I don't know. Mike Salinas went to buy Famoso in Bakersfield, and then the owner backed out of it. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know that to be true, but maybe it is. Save a drag strip. Save a drag strip. There's another, I was reading Comp Plus earlier, Ozzy Moya, who saved 3 drag strips. And the article is like, why do I do this, right? Kind of negative. The local community doesn't get it. The Bandemir family. I don't know why it's so hard for us to learn, right? Like the Bandemir family, do what they do with their local community. Are the people out there in the Denver area that unique, that helping out and giving back and being a center of the community and working with the school kids and working with everybody, like to be a good neighbor is so, shocking of a development? Like, no, man, no. Like, you got to work together with these people. What is it? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Who has the power to shut you down? You better keep them close. You better make them feel like they're part of your deal. Shade over parking area stands will help in many ways. Great. It's a good idea. Free charging for evil EV groups. Yes. But that is not going to solve the problem. You missed it, Max. Tripp was awesome. Well, okay. But maybe that was just between you guys. And now you've put it out publicly, Steve. Like maybe he didn't want it. It was just like a nugget of information for you to have. And now you've put it out there for the world. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best idea or not. Now, Salinas, we're going to be speaking with him a lot on WFO this year. 4-wide drag racing in Vegas. Here's my take on the 4-wide. Everyone's continuously asked me, and my take is this. At the start of the year, it's perfect. We mix it up a little bit. We get packed house out there in Vegas. Why not? And then we'll come back and do it again in Charlotte. Excited. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on a Monday. Share the show. Share the show. Click share. You YouTubers out there, comments and likes apparently are very important. So do it. Big thanks to Tripp for coming on the show. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out with social media. Welcome to VP Racing Fuels and all of our sponsors, FTI Performance, Total Seal, Sam Tech, Frank Hawley, Marvin Rodak, and all you Patreons out there who are supporting the show directly. Like, it's really makes a big difference. Huge difference. And we thank you. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Alan Reinhart will join us. But losing a track, it's hard to explain until it's happened to you. And it's happened to me. It's happening to me for a second time. And it's just, can't let it happen. They don't let the football stadiums go away. Why? Well, they generate a lot of money. That's a big part of it. I thought Tripp was pretty good. He said flat out, he goes, I got to get used to this part. He's got a great mentor, Tommy Johnson. Speaking of people that are qualified to be out there racing, if you don't watch Drive to Survive, the Formula One show on Netflix, you don't have to like Formula One, but I think you should watch it. I kind of fought it off for a while, but now I'm on it. And, oh my gosh, do we need something like that so badly? All right, guys, WFO, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, hit that archive. Ignition tonight with the Patreon co-hosts. It's going to be great. See you then, WFO.